Hello and welcome everyone. Today we close out our October webinars with the final holiday scam survival guide. Today we're going to be talking about what we're seeing in the upcoming future of the types of scams that are expected. We'll share a little bit more of the type of webinars we've just had for those that have not been able to attend. For some housekeeping pieces, you're welcome to stay off camera, off mic, and just use the chat to ask any questions, raise your hands. We do have a Q&A section. Just, but if you have any questions in between, feel free to add them in the chat or raise your hand and engage in that way. We also have Google key reactions, so feel free to use those. And for today, if you have any questions, Izzy is following up with the chat, so feel free to use that. And today we're going to focus on spotting threats in the season of cheer. We are going into the holiday season, and one of the biggest times that malicious actions such as scams and fake e-commerce pops up is now during the holidays because everyone's in that giving feeling. Everybody has their pockets open, they're trying to buy and prepare for the holiday season. So this is actually one of the highest times that a lot of threats happened in this space where people lose identity, they go through identity fraud, stolen information, people are called with scams and stuff like that. I am the executive director and founder of the Lioness Instincts, and I'm excited to present to you today where we're spotting threats in the season of share. All right, so what we're going to focus on today is we're going to do a little bit of a welcome introduction, tell you a little bit about our organization, what we do. Then we're going to talk about the holiday scam landscape, like what to expect, talk about the types of scams that are out there, and understand where these threats are coming from, conversations you can have at home, and ways to detect or avoid these scams. We'll also be providing resources, what to do if you're impacted. And like I said, we'll have Q&A at the end, but you're more than welcome to raise your hand and ask a question or pose a question in the chat. Who are we? We are the Lioness Instincts. We are a 501c3 nonprofit, physically sponsored by the Hackler Bank. We are we're Our focus is to empower women to protect themselves in our physical and digital worlds. Our mission this year and the next couple of years is to arm 1 million women with the physical and digital tools to fight back, stay safe, and lead confidently. We are available and to be connected with on social, so you can find us on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. Check out our website, and if you need to contact us, whether you have questions or there's content you would like to learn more about when we do our next series, feel free to message us on one of our channels or email us at info@lionessinstincts.com. So this webinar closes out the October Awareness Month event. This month, we were bringing focus on cybersecurity and domestic violence awareness. We started with how to browse safely using Tor, and we talked about the different types of users that will use it and how you can use it. We last week we spoke about kids' safety and family safety and what that looks like, what privacy laws are available in the US and globally. And today we're focused on survival, holiday scam survival. Our next series of webinar is going to be focused in February, but please sign up to our mailing list. The mailing list will let you know when those webinars are up and running. And then as well as we'll be sharing information and education on different things we see from now until then, and of course the recaps. This is being recorded and will be uploaded to YouTube. On YouTube, we do have our last two webinars, so the one from October 7th and the one October 14th. This one webinar will be uploaded by before the end of the week, and we'll send out email notifications to the attendees to let them know that the webinar is up and available. So you can get that all through the mailing list. We'll also be migrating some of our previous webinars that we've had over the years over to the new YouTube channel. So you can find it, I believe I shared it on the chat, but it's youtube.com/@ the Lioness Instincts to catch our latest. Feel free to subscribe, like, follow, share with your friends, and really help us share and grow the knowledge and education we're trying to send out. Like I said, if there's any topics you want us to dive deeper in, whether it's from today or something we posted, reach out to us in one of our many channels, and we'll happily help you along that path and come up with additional resources in our upcoming webinars. We also offer online safety resources from travel safety, what to do with hotels, Airbnb, if you travel international, tips and tricks for both physical and digital safety. Talk about privacy on social media, how to safeguard your online dating experience, and the privacy threat that unfortunately dating also exposes. For our entrepreneurs and business professionals, things to consider for online privacy. And then we have tips for kid safety. In the additional resource section, we do have communications and phone numbers of U.S. agencies you can potentially reach out to if your child goes missing or you see some malicious actions being happen. You can give those uh, U.S. agencies a call. So we are a nonprofit. We're looking for volunteers. We don't expect you to be an expert. We really just need more hands. And if there's anything that really interests you that you want to do within these opportunities, feel free to let us know. This is from the Digital Privacy Program, hosting one of these webinars, writing content education during research, doing research with us to help grow these programs. We also need folks to help us with their social media, community management, and help us drive and spread the word of our programs, our initiatives, and our impact. Anybody that's interested in becoming a program manager or managing a program, we need folks to be the heart, brains, and souls of these programs to help them grow and flourish. And then if yourself or anybody you know is a self-defense instructor, we are looking to grow a global network for women to connect to experts, whether it's a specific gym that's recommended, women's classes, or a self-defense instructor that specializes in privates, maybe one-on-ones with women. And then once again, these are just different ways to reach us from LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook. You can check out our website for upcoming events, shop our merchandise, donate, or join the mailing list. So let's get into the next of things. So what is the scam landscape looking like today? We have now, as the holidays are coming up, shopping scams is going to be one of the biggest. We seen reports of 48% of U.S. consumers, they've been targeted by holiday scams, and then just it's an overall increase every time the holidays come around that there's additional scams associated with it. In these scams from 2024, we saw $12.5 billion lost. And then the highest return, I guess, from these scams is from those text message scams. So in 2024, they saw $470 billion in loss just from these text messages. And this ranges from somebody spoofing family members or close individuals' number, those package delivery ones, the Amazon drivers texting you, those type of scams are happening uh, via text messages. And then, unfortunately, adults and vulnerable adults and elderly are high targets. So anybody over the age of 60. In 2023, they saw a loss of $1.9 billion to fraud based on this age group. So what's new, what's coming, what's old? Something that we've seen that's old, that we see every year is the fake shopping and counterfeit deals. So they'll go ahead and, a viral, for example, a viral reel or story might happen in Instagram or TikTok. And then when you go to the shop, it's actually a fake shop, but people are stealing your money, you're stealing your data, and you end up actually not getting the item that you were super excited to buy. Um, I for me was the curling iron, the Timo curling iron. I kept seeing this on these Instagram and these places, and I was like, I don't know if this is real because the ones that I saw kept sending me to like these random sites, and I was like, this seems a little bit off. But I went to Amazon, found it, and I love that thing. We're gonna see phishing, smishing, and package delivery scams. This has happened over the last couple of years, but we're gonna also see an increase now during the holidays. So expect to receive a lot more of those scam calls and a lot more of those text messages. When it comes to our parents, our grandparents, our elders, our vulnerable adults, they're going to be targeted not just by these shopping deals, but they're going to be targeted by charities. There, I share a story later of like a woman that lost a lot of money uh, due to a charity that wasn't real, but they targeted her based on her political views, and she ended up I'm not going to spoil the fun later, but she lost a lot of money during this scam, and she thought it was real, and it really wasn't. The AI enabled and deepfake scams. This one is another one that's been happening. All of these have been happening, but we're going to see an increase in them now as the holidays come up. So those deepfake scams, where folks are taking your voice or your face, and they're making calls and making, if you have a huge following, they hit up your followers with these offers, with these text messages, with these voice calls or whatever, so that they can get the money out of them. Uh, then there's the credit card fraud and account takeover. So a good one that, at least for corporations, ours is the demand for gift cards. So they'd be like, oh, go ahead and send this gift card to company X or, this list of people. You can use the corporate, you get that email from your CEO saying that he wants some gift cards sent out. And it's not really your CEO, it's a scammer that's trying to scam you out of money through like a fake gift card website. There's also going into these sites where they might ask you to shop at this one site and then they'll have you sign into your bank account or your Google account, and it doesn't seem to be working, so you keep doing it. And they essentially take over your account, and then they do this to take quick cash out. Um, these things usually happen in a matter of minutes, so be aware and be cautious. So some of the news that you should know about, for example, some of these weren't during the holidays, but these were just events that have happened, right? So in March of this year, an 8-year-old spent over 8,500 pounds on the Apple Store. And as kids are playing video games or they're entertaining these applications, they might get pop-ups. So Discord, Twitch, Reeboks is a big avenue where they target kids and they'll send them these fake sites. And unfortunately, parents lose a lot of money because the kid's like, the message is like, click this link to purchase this exclusive skin only available for the next hour. The kid clicks it, they get infected, or they click it, they go through the payment process, putting in your credit card, and now the scammer has your credit card, your personal information, your kid's name, whatever it is that they were collecting. And it happens in a matter of seconds. And after the kid clicks and nothing, they don't get the skin or they don't get whatever was promised, they're like, wait. And then they're like, mom, dad, this happens, right? And you've just lost all this money. As I mentioned, the elderly individual that was a year ago, there's a 78-year-old who they gave nearly 200,000 in political charity style appeals. They canceled their insurance. They removed money from their investment funds to continue donating because they thought this was a good cause, only to later find out that it was a fake charity. We'll see just an increase, as I've mentioned before, an increase in these online shoppings, these fake e-commerce, those text messages. Um, I'm sure at least I see this on a regular. I am in the space, but as far as I know, a lot of people are thankfully aware of this because of how unfortunately common it is. And then with AI, it does enable deepfakes. So this year in July, a woman was cloned uh, tricked out of $15,000 from an AI voice pretending to be her daughter. Daughter was in distress, um, and she really thought that it was her daughter that was in danger, and she wanted to help out. Just found out to be a scam and a scammer who had used AI to like take her daughter's voice. So how do we prevent this? First, it's going to be conversations with family. Talk to your family about what suspicious messages suspicious messages are, depending on where you are in your family, and you can check back on our kids and family conversation we had last week, where we kind of talk about things, different things to think about, depending on what type of family you are. If you're like a high profile parents, a high profile kid, you're a celebrity, you're a tech executive, you're a public figure, maybe you're just an adult, a parent, but your kid's very tech savvy and you have no idea what they're doing, or you're just the everyday individual. Nobody in your family is famous, nobody has like tons of views, but you're constantly online because this is the new way, age, and day, right? So have those conversations with the family to understand what the suspicious messages might be. This could be, you know, uh, anything from like, hey, I saw this deal, we wanted to buy this cat litter, and like for some reason the scammer had found out that we wanted to buy cat litter, and now we're getting messages about buying like the kitty robot, right? Or these like off-brand name kitty robots. You also have too good to be true offers. For my grandfather, I oversee his internet service. That's like internet phone and TV, right? All in one package. And let's say he spends like 250 a month, and he's always telling me, hey, can you call him to reduce it? I can't afford it. And, I've called and they're just like, no, there's really not much. This is the limit, da da da. And he started receiving phone calls about like, hey, we can put the service, it's the same company, but we can put the service for like $100. But since I control his account, he has to call me to do it. And I'm like, my grandpa, this doesn't sound real. This sounds too good to be true because I've talked to them. And unless this is like a makeshift whatever, um, there's no way that this is like true. And it turns out it wasn't. So sometimes those too good to be offers, like if it's in your gut and you're like, I don't know about this, is something to think about. And then it sounds like then with AI, unfortunately, you have space time and voices that people can use and take advantage. So going into number three, like having those family rules. Sometimes an offer that's too good to be true, you got to take a moment to breathe before clicking submit, right? And make sure that this is what you want to do. For those video calls, have a family code or phase. It can even be a question like, hey, before you do this, do you remember what we bought your cousin Susie for her birthday? I wanted to get one for, your mom, for example, and I forgot what it was called, right? It could be something like that where it kind of tests the, and it could be something silly like that. It's like, hey, I know, I'm pulling out my wallet right now, can you answer this question for me? I'm kind of stuck. Um, and then confirming names. So my grandfather, he got called by a scammer, and the scammer was like, hey, I'm your nephew. And he's like, which one? I only have two. Name X, name Y. Which one? And the person didn't even have to think. He just said name. Oh, I'm Y. He's like, oh, how's your mom? Da, 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 da. And my grandma's like, hang up. That's not real. So thankfully, my grandma has some logic behind her brain um, to know that that was a scam. She's like, no, hang up. Um, and with that, reassure your elderly family members, the vulnerable adults. Make sure that they understand these family rules. Make sure that they're verifying who they're speaking to before they decide to pull out their wallet and send out money and lose their insurance or even their retirement fund to something that may not be real. When it comes to kids and spending, those in-apps, those game purchases, set a budget, set a spending limit. I get notifications on my bank when, something is sent over because a lot of it's like an auto pay. So anything over, for example, $50, I'll get an email, I get a text message saying this account pulled out, X amount of money. on this day for this, towards this company. And that at least helps me monitor it. I know some applications, some games, they let you do a spending limit or set a budget. So you can take advantage of that. But once again, that's a conversation for the family. Um, the loophole for that is like if I get notifications for 50 bucks, right, for example, you can do 80 transactions at $20 or lower than 50. I won't know. So there's always loopholes around this, but it still sets that baseline. And then last, make sure your family knows, like if something feels off, if they're just not sure, um, to ask for help. Be like, hey, I got a bad reception. Let me call you right back. Um, let me chat with your grandma. Let me chat with somebody. Let me call you right back. Right. Stuff like that so that you can ask for help to just reassure. If it is a scammer, they're not going to want you to hang up. They're going to want you to do the purchase right then and there. And that in itself is a sign. We talked about this in last week's, but I wanted to bring this in too. So, because it's kind of the same when it comes to these like scammers and stuff. Because scammers are hitting up kids in these games to spend money quick. They might advertise like this cool equipment or this cool sword or limited edition this or this skin or this like mystery map, whatever it is that they're so they're going to be tempted to like find your wallet or find the way to like be able to access the thing that they want that sounds cool and interesting. Um, so having those conversations for kids and not only just scams, just from overall safety perspective online. So have a digital family safety checklist. You can check out last week's webinar to learn a little bit more of what should be on that checklist. But this is just outlines the rules for your families in the digital life. Set up parental controls that limits time, that limits budget, that limits access to the different types of apps that the kids are on. This will help a lot when it comes to these um, overspending and scammers. Remember to educate your kids on online strangers, not just in person, teaching your kids never to share personal information, whether it's theirs or the family's. And then monitor the online activities to your comfort level or your knowledge. On the resource safety guide, we do provide some recommendations on apps to monitor activity. And then for the physical sense, just checking your kids for air tags. The iPhone automatically does this. And on the resource guide, we do share apps for Android that checks for air tags, unknown air tags too. Remember, if you have any questions or you want us to dive a little bit deeper into some of the topics, feel free to put them in the chat, raise your hand, and you're welcome to engage. So fake charity, red flags, we're going to go into charity, we're also about going to e-commerce, is if they get access to you or they're in a conversation with you, they're going to want you to act fast. They're going to want you to do it now. They don't want you to like talk to your partner or talk to your person responsible or accountable for your account, right? They're going to want you to do that fast. So if you feel that pressure of acting fast, take a moment, take a breath, and think before you click. Excuse me. As a nonprofit organization like ourselves, the Lioness Instincts, we have details on how the money will be spent. So when we ask for donations, it's not like, hey, donate to us, right? It's donate to us. The money is sent and spent to help make grappling competitions more affordable by providing sponsorships to women and children to cover the competition fee. Um, it helps us provide workshops, webinars online, and to shelters and education facilities to teach them about digital safety and self-defense. So if they're just like, send us the money, but they can't describe what the money is going to be used, that's a red flag. So before you decide to share with a nonprofit or a charity, ask them like, how's this donation going to benefit you? And that's just a general question. Make sure that it aligns with what you want to do or where you are and how you feel about that mission, vision that organization has. Uh, both for charity and e-commerce, anything that's untraceable payment methods, your Bitcoin, your wire transfers, your Venmos, your Zelles, your gift cards, and the list kind of goes on, right? If it's something that you can't easily trace, or if it becomes something where it's like, if you send it, you can't get it back. Like none of these methods, I can get the money back if they didn't provide the service or the product, right? So those are usually a red flag, and I would ask for another method of payment. Name lookalikes. So somebody can easily create a website and call it lionessinstincts.com, right? And remove the bill and fake like they look like us. They can also remove the S at the name of our organization and pretend to be like us, right? So you got to look at the organizations, check out their names, check out their websites, and make sure that it's the real organization. And I share a little bit more on like what to do in the next slide of like how to check. And then if you're getting calls or you're getting text message, check the caller ID, right? See if it's coming up as spam risk or unknown, or like how the caller ID comes up. They do sometimes spoof caller IDs and like put in fake numbers. So just be like, hey, I'm gonna call you right back. And if they're using a fake number, when you call it back, it's actually gonna redirect to the individual that owns it. For e-commerce, once again, those look like websites. You might have misspelled domains, you might have some off-branding URL. Um, a good portion of the times, the companies will have .com, .edu, .org. But if you see something different, it's like .me or something else that's not the original, take a moment and take a breather. This is for overall any website. If you don't see the S at the end of the HTTPS or the log, that website is not secure. So any traffic that you're providing for it is not encrypted. So providing any sensitive information on that, anybody can read it, whether or not they're near you or later. So don't use any sites, just as a general rule of thumb, without the S or the lock in the URL. Check for recently created websites. So you can use the whois.domain.com to see when that website or that domain was created. So, for example, somebody spoofed our organization and they had lionessinstincts.com, but it was created yesterday and they're asking for donations. That in itself is a red flag. E-commerce that have no customer reviews. Yes, some companies could start up, they could be brand new. We do see some seasonal companies that do happen during the holidays or early in the year or whatnot. So that is one of the case. But if you see this brand new website that started yesterday that looks like somebody that has no reviews, or let's say they started last week and now they have a ton of reviews, but they're very fake or they sound very AI, that in itself is a red flag. And then once again, weird ways to pay, gift cards, crypto, Zelle, Cash App. These are untraceable and it's really impossible to get your money back. So some preventive measures for your elderly or vulnerable adults. Um, Transfer the accounts, the major accounts to you, uh, depending on if you're a caregiver or not. Like, for example, my grandfather, I take care of his internet service. So if he needs to do anything, he unfortunately has to go through me. But that allows that account goes and flows through a verification channel. And it also makes him think twice before he does anything or updates because some random person called him. Um, Basic security practice. I'm not gonna speak too much on this because you hear this all the time, and I really want these webinars to go past the basic everyday security protections, your two-factor authentication, your MFA, good password, use a password manager, so forth. But add verifications for these purchases. If you don't have any major credit needed purchases coming up, like you're buying a house or you're buying a car or whatnot, freeze your credit. It's always just a good rule of thumb. These social security numbers, I think it was like last year, was breached. So they're out in the world and people are taking advantage of folks that aren't freezing their credits. Set up fraud monitoring alerting just to keep account of your frauds. And then that also goes into point number 5 is set up credit reporting for anything that's new or any new accounts. Um, and then the last one I'm going to speak on is number four is clean up your family's digital footprints. There's websites like People Search. So if you type in your name with your date of birth, your name with the area that you live in, you'll see that there's a lot of websites that have your home address, your phone number, your families, and they've been collecting and aggregating this information. So cleaning up these like different digital footprints is going to help one reduce these spam calls, reduce the amount of information out there, and reduce what scammers can use against you. So if they can see all my data about where I live, who my family members are, they're going to be able to call me and be like, hey, it's Fulano. I know your grandpa, so and so. He lives in this address. This is his phone number. And you're like starting to believe it, right? So I'm going to share on the chat. It's like Opry. There's several sites that do it, but the one that I've been using, I don't make any money off of sharing who this is, but it's Opry, Optery. I've been using it for about a year to help clean up my digital footprint, and they do have a family plan, so you can do yourself, and then they clean up your family members. It's like hygiene; you got to continue doing it because the more websites you sign up for, the more information gets shared out there. Because unfortunately, everybody sells our data. Here's some U.S. agencies that you can use in the event of something happening. You can report any fraud. Like you might find a website or you might find something that just looks suspicious to the US FTC. If you see some malicious activity, you can report it to the IC3. These are just like malicious things. Maybe, you see something funny in your kid's game, or you see some fraud being happening on Discord or on, social media. To help the elders, there is a elder fraud reporting. And then if something were to happen on the crypto side, we do have NTT that is within the U.S. Department of Justice. These are U.S. agencies for fraud, for these types of things. You can check out the KID webinar where I went into more of the privacy policies and things of that nature. And then the online safety guide resource shares agencies you can call in case your kid is being exploited, they're missing, um, indecent information or indecent content is being created of them. That has contact information for that. Oh, and there it is, the online safety resource. Um, I hope this was useful. Feel free to check out the guide. Let us know if there's any information on this guide and our webinars that you'd love to learn more on or dive a little bit deeper on. Um, we've been doing these webinars for about a year. And like I said, in February, we're going to be launching our next webinar um, series. So every week that month, we'll have a webinar. We'll do one on kids, we'll do one on dating, we'll do a little bit deeper dive into tour. And then anything else that comes up from now until then, if you have any questions, like I said, you want to learn a little bit more, feel free to reach out on one of our platforms and let us know what you'd like to see. And with that, I'll open up to Q&A. Give folks a moment in case they're typing, so feel free to add their questions, comments. If there's anything here you uh, like us to go into a little deeper or you have more questions on, feel free to post it in the chat. And then if all was good, feel free to put +1.